Fuck, you're old.
Damn it, Wade!
I should have did was brought up your obsession with that fucking stupid
Animal Crossing?
That game is ridiculous.
It's task orientated. That's why I like it. I like tasks.
Animal Crossing.
And it's mindless. It's like dumb tasks, like mindless shit.
Go find a shark in the sand.
No, you're building a community, Mark. I'm building a community.
Fuck your community.
No, I have a very nice community. I can kick people out.
You can kick people out the community?
I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff.
I didn't know you could kick people out. Kick that owl out. That owl who runs the museum is an asshole.
He's not an asshole.
He's grumpy as hell. Like, even the music change is like...
Because during the day, he's sleeping. He's an owl. They're nocturnal. So if you go in there during the day, you're waking him up, essentially.
Oh, so you're the asshole for waking him up during the day.
Yeah.
Then you
he's
should
an owl. They're nocturnal animals.
Then why the fuck would you have an owl doing something...
Mark, I didn't write the game.
Fucking stupid. Whatever.
Stop talking shit about it.
Anyway, welcome to the Old Man Wade Show. I'm your host, the God of Stuff and a lot of laughter, Old Man Wade. And you just heard us, My Lovely Life, with her normal enthusiasm as always, because she doesn't like that I think Animal Crossing is a giant waste of fucking time. But hey, what do I know? I'm just an old fool. Directly in front of me, we have the pinnacle. No, that's not the wrong one. That's Super Bowl Hobby. We have the Genius of Justification, Just Greg.
What's up, people?
So we did a short episode last time specifically because we started getting into like some nerdy video game talk and started talking about Invincible because I absolutely love the fucking show. And the things which wouldn't have flowed right if I would have continued with the topics that were going on. But so we did another one. And I kind of want to get right into it. We're nearing sort of kind of the end of the pandemic. I don't really look at this as like the end of the pandemic. But we're kind of getting, things are starting to become more normal. Like people can go out again. The mask mandate will be lifted on the 29th of May in Massachusetts. Some healthcare workers and a lot of first responders, I'm going to assume, are going to have to keep the masks on, which makes sense. You're going to be in the public and stuff like that. I wouldn't be shocked if they just keep them on forever.
Well, it's public health, so anything that's government based, it goes off of what the CDC recommends, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Because it's about community health. That's the big thing that people don't understand about COVID is that it's a community health initiative, not a political stronghold.
Yeah. But depending on who you ask, I think it is.
The flu was just as bad as this was. People died a lot. People don't understand what that's what makes me crazy.
I always love listening to people and they're like, well, this and that. I'm like, so...
we never had to do this before. I'm like, we've had to do this multiple times. We almost had to do it with swine flu. Back in 2000, I forget exactly.
Like mid-2000s.
Yeah, mid-2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Because I worked for a hospital and I ordered all their supplies and I had to order MAD and 95s, not PPE because we were bracing for this to happen then. Mm-hmm. This is not uncommon. It's actually very common. We miss a lot of global pandemic because we research and science and whatever, but stuff like this will continue to happen as the planet evolves and people evolve. Bacteria grows and changes just the same way. Everything adapts.
Yeah, well, you're also using common sense, and I'm not even gonna say common sense, science, or just the idea that you have the internet and the things that you're looking for can actually be researched.
Well, the problem with the internet is that anything can be researched, and if you don't know how to research appropriately, then you're reading shit from crazy ass fucking people who are end earthers or whatever the fuck they're called, or flat earthers, yeah, our end of days people,
flat earthers.
Science is real.
Christians. I don't know. I got nothing. But I thought it would be a cool idea. Well, not a cool idea, but yeah, kind of a cool idea to discuss what it was like during the pandemic and living through it.
You want to live that life?
Absolutely not. I'll be happy when I can just go out and go for walks and go visit my friends without actually having to worry about.
I mean, we're kind of doing that now, right?
Yeah, but it's different now. I can just get on a bus and go. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I still don't trust those nasty motherfuckers. It kills me that people are upset. They're like. So I was listening to Joe Budden, and I forget which one of them said this. He was like, everyone's getting pounds from here on in. Because people were when they were upset, what do you mean I gotta wash my hands? Why are you upset you gotta wash your hands? You nasty motherfuckers, what's wrong with you?
Because nasty motherfuckers don't wash their hands all the time. Mm-hmm. People are like, who washes their hands this much? I was like, me? Because germs and bacteria? You don't wash your hands? What?
Yeah, everyone's getting pounds.
People are no, it makes you think, right? Like, people are nasty. Like, people are gross by nature. Like, when just Greg got here, what did I do? I was like, no, don't touch me. I'm gross right now. I need to wash my hands. I was just cleaning the bathroom. Like, that's what you do. That's gross. Like, you shouldn't touch people when you're dirty. It's inappropriate.
Yep.
But people are nasty.
Yeah, I don't get it. But if I'm married, you're getting a pound of me already. I'm absolutely about that life. But for something like for Greg, for something like you live on your own, like you know what I mean. So like, and you actually had COVID, like so. What was your mental health like dealing with that? That's a topic you don't mind talking about because I can obviously like stop it and go back to something you don't want to talk about.
It wasn't too crazy. I just remember, I thought I was sick from something else. But then when it ended up being COVID, it didn't take a major toll on my mental health. I do remember because I had, and I'm not exaggerating, I had like pretty much every symptom. I had the fevers, the chills, the aches. I had the heavy pressure on my chest, the shortness of breath. I was like choking in the shower, loss of sense. I lost my sense of taste and smell. I was delirious. Like I couldn't sleep for almost 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And like my sleep was actually like little, like 45-minute
naps. Yep.
Yeah, here and there. But I was pretty much up all night every day for like 2 weeks because
your body was trying to self-regulate.
Yeah, exactly, and I just couldn't.
Sleep.
There were times where I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna die," because I never felt like this before. So it was just a crazy ordeal. But after dealing with that and then feeling better, I kind of felt like I had a new lease on life. So I was telling myself, you know what? I survived that. Maybe I should, think differently about life because I could have passed away. There's a lot of people who dealt with it and they're not here today.
Yeah.
So I was thankful for that. But yeah, it didn't take too much of a toll on my life.
But you're also more of a positive person than like a lot of people are. So like you actually like taking that, and some people won't do that. They just look at it and go, "Oh, thank God it's over," and that's the end of it. Like I've worked with a few people who've had COVID more than once, and they still don't get the idea of like, hey,
because they're probably not getting it. So each person's bodies react differently, and some people have stronger cases and more mild cases. So,
but even like the mild cases, like you figure, like considering where I work, that the people would take it seriously, seeing like how bad it could be, like you know what I mean, or like the idea that like someone would say, I'm gonna fake a COVID thing so I can have some time off. Like,
there was a lot of that.
Shit ton of that.
Oh my goodness.
At the hospital too. Like a lot of people, like my friends being like, this bitch calls out, and our other banking, like our other friend, she's like literally every week 2 to 3 people are like, yeah, I got a cough. She's like, I'm literally here all the time. I was like, then you need to fake a fucking cough. She was like losing her mind. She was the manager, so she was doing all the hours every day, all day, because she runs the bank. Like she's the bank manager. And she was like, I'm just tired and I don't know what to do. She's like, they just keep on. I was like, that's such bullshit. Like, the fact that they're screwing you over that badly, like, just to be like, it's just selfish. It's selfish.
So when people like...
I was like, maybe you need to fake a cough. I don't know. Like, you need a break. I'm just saying. I felt she needed a break.
One thing is she didn't. She kept working through it. And then, like, I hear people going, yeah, I think I'm going to take a COVID vacation. I'm like, what the fuck is a COVID vacation? Oh, I'm going to tell them I have symptoms and I need to go get checked.
Yeah.
And like the one time I had my one scare, I was like, I felt like an asshole taking this time off, and I was like, yo, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm gonna go get tested, like you know what I mean. And so I got tested, and then when I got my results back on like a Thursday, there was like, oh, da da da. I said, no, I'll come. It's like, you want to take the rest of the weekend? I was like, no, I'll be back tomorrow. Like, I'm not just gonna. Like, I was like, I'm not. I didn't get my results until 4 p.m. So there's no way I was gonna be able to fall asleep and then go working overnight that night. But I was like, no, I'll go back. I'll come back the next day. And they were like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'm not just taking this time off just to be an ass. I'm taking this time off because I don't want to get anybody else sick. And then we had people at my job who had COVID and, like, they're not letting us know. And granted, there are certain things you can't do, but it's just like, hey, if you were around this person, then if you were around this area at this time, it would behoove you to go get a test. Like, you know what I mean?
Damn it, Wade!
Think about their bottom line always, and to them, they didn't want a bunch of people to call out. They didn't give a fuck because they were like, no, if we tell the others, then it's going to cause people to be like, oh, I'm sick, I'm not coming in, or panicking, and everybody's going to go out because they have to get a test first before they can be confirmed and brought back in. So for them, it was better not to say anything at all. It's all about money. Like, they cry poor. It's like how, you know, some jobs like to send out, please donate money to us, as they're telling their staff they're not going to give them a raise.
They have the audacity to send me some shit. It's like, yeah, you can blow me.
Yeah, no,
I'll double my donation of nothing. Like, lick all the unwanted nuts, dude. Like, I'm absolutely all set. It's just weird though. But a conversation we had off air was just like the idea of like you're taught to not take time off, like not make sick time off, or not call out and things like that, so that you end up going to work and working yourself to death, and you're doing all this stuff, and then at the end of the day, it's like, as you always say, Valkyrie, you do your job so well, you get to do everyone else's.
That's my favorite. I mean, my whole thing is that like, because the end game is to like be able to relax later in life, right? Like everybody wants to relax and do whatever, but like I mean, you should use it while you're alive and young and living and doing whatever. Like, in my opinion. Because by the time you're old, you're just like, you're tired, you're old. You don't want to do all the shit you were doing before. You're not going to enjoy it as much as you used to. I feel like I do this with old man a lot because he'll be like, no, I can't call in. I'm like, you're actually sick. Call in. He'll be like, my back, I can't move. I'm like, how are you going to handle a situation where you may need to put hands on somebody and go in being fucked up? You have to be okay. Your back hurts. You're going to fuck yourself up.
No,
I know.
For me, it's just, I just go to work. I just go to work. I plan for retirement every single day.
I know.
Every single day.
But then you'll plan for it every day, and then it'll be too late for you to fucking enjoy anything.
I know.
It's important. It's important.
I need to work on it. I gotta go over.
Well,
I have to figure out a plan.
You do. Like, you have to, if you don't allow yourself to enjoy things, like, because you're looking at that end goal of being able to just retire, I get what you're saying, because I'm very much so like that. I'm very, like, you gotta plan for your future. You have to, whatever. Like, my mom's friend retired when she was 54 from the T. She was, like, done. Had enough money to, like, live her best life, and didn't have to work another day in her life. Like, I get it, but she did the same thing. She has to, but then as soon as she stopped working, like, shit started falling apart. Her body, like, she's not enjoying it. Yeah. So, like, I look at her and I'm like, okay, so I could fucking kill myself my entire life enjoying nothing, so that I can just end up, like, crippled at home, like.
Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to buy myself some time.
Yeah. You need
by
life,
working
friends,
like I do
relaxing.
and investing like I do, so that I can buy myself some time after retirement.
Yeah.
Because the average life expectancy is like 80 years old, maybe a little less. Well, statistically in my line of work, we only have a life expectancy of like 5 years after retirement.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you work hard. It's like nursing. Nursing's the same way.
Yeah, so
it's a very hard.
So I'm
struggle.
trying everything in my power to stack and invest and do all this stuff so I can retire earlier than projected, so I can buy myself some time.
Meanwhile, you're killing yourself, deteriorating your entire body,
Listen,
all your joints, all your.
I don't work that hard. I'll let it be known. I work a lot, but I don't work that hard.
Okay. So for me, I was like killing myself.
There's people who bust their ass.
Yeah.
Me, I've been on there long enough to know what to expect. I don't work that hard, but I work a lot.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Not to say I'm just some lazy do nothing.
No, I get what you're saying, but like you know where to be and how to do it, that you don't have to like be killing yourself.
Yeah, because when you work hard, you end up with a broken ankle.
Exactly.
So after I broke my ankle like 4 years ago, I was like, you know what? Let me relax.
I'm learning. It's funny because I'm learning the difference between the two. It's like pride myself on working a little bit harder than like most. There are some things that I do that other people are like, why are you doing it? I'm like, 'cause it's part of my fucking job. But there are days where some stuff going, I'm like, yo, I'm not going through all that today. If it ain't important, then I'm not going to bother with it. There are certain aspects of my job where it's just like, yeah, I have to actually do this. Like, you know what I mean? But sometimes it's like I go in, it's like, yo, I'm in a lot of fucking pain. I'm like I'm in pain. I don't feel well. I didn't get enough sleep. Fucking cranky. Like, you know what I mean? At which point I have to go talk to my supervisors and be like, hey, this is where my head's at right now. This is where I'm at physically. Can you put me somewhere else where I can be an asset, but not in a situation where I put somebody else's like physical well-being in danger. Like, you know what I mean? But it's also but it's like I had to get out of a space where that would be a good idea. I had to get out of my head that that's okay for me to say things like that. But it also came from my previous job where I didn't feel comfortable doing that to my management because it was just like, oh, well, you're here, we can't do anything about it. Which is complete utter bullshit because I'll see them trade it off with somebody because they're the complainers or they're the problem people. And like my old manager used to say, oh, well, I talked to you because he used to say this to all the like the good workers, or I say something to you guys because what I'm saying is going to hold weight. But meanwhile, it's like, but you have 70% of your workers are ass. Maybe you should say something to them so they can get the shit right. And so I came from this like weird fucked up culture of a job where one of my friends who worked there, everyone thought he was a manager, everyone thought he was a supervisor, when realistically we had the same position. And so while I'm working with him, so I start telling him like, yo, you're doing way too much, because I can start seeing like how it started weighing heavy on him. Like he started getting a little angry with people because he was doing too much. I'm like, yo, let me do the schedule. Let me make the phone calls. Let me do this. Meanwhile, we had a first shift supervisor. We had a manager during the day.
Yeah, but if you can get somebody else to do all your work, why wouldn't you? Put your feet up, relax, go out to lunch, like
yeah, and they would
live your best, go golfing, live your best.
And they would literally go, and all the stuff she's saying.
He didn't have to do his job.
They would go out golfing. They would go out doing this. They'd go out doing that. And it's just like, fine, that's cool. Y'all are management. But it's one thing when you're management and you're not actually managing. Like, why are the employees who are on the same level of me and my buddy Jeff, why are you going to us instead of like the supervisor? It's not even like a chain of command thing. It's just like dog, like you're asking me questions that I really should not be answering. Go to your supervisor with that shit. Oh well, can you guys call him? Like, no. And it got to the point when they was like, I'm not doing that. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, it's not. And so like I would help my buddy Jeff out. I'd help my homegirl Jackie out. But other than that, if you're not on my shift, I don't care. Like, and it got to the point where I was just like, no, it's not my shift. I'm not doing it.
People are loyal to their jobs. Their jobs are not loyal to them, and a lot of people forget that. You're a number everywhere you go. I don't care what fucking job you got. There's very far and few between jobs that are actually, like I had that conversation with your aunt. Her job is actually really fucking supportive, really good, have been really great with everything that's going on with her. Like, there's not many, and she even said that to me. She's like, this is the first job that they actually genuinely care, and they're not like, when are you coming back? Like, I'm like, that's how it should be. But corporations don't care because you're just a number. You're not, they don't see you as individuals. They'll just replace you. So this is why I tell people, never become a slave to your job. I switch my job every 5 years. Every 5 years, I go into a completely different section, or like I stayed within the company that I'm in now, but a completely different area. Because one, when I make that move, I get paid for my years of experience versus getting the same 2% raise that everybody gets, whether they're a good worker or not. We all get 2%. Doesn't matter. So when I switched from one hospital to another, in the same company, it was, what was it, like $7 difference in pay or something? An hour. And this girl that I used to work with, she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, you switch your jobs every 5 years now. Every 5 years. Even if it's within the same company, they have to pay you for experience versus a 2% raise. And you're always going to get paid more for experience than you are for raises. People don't realize that though. Like, nobody tells them. They say stay loyal at a company. they'll take care of you, but they don't anymore. There's no more pensions. There's no more, like, a lot of unions are gone. There's very few unions now for regular people. There's for most people, they don't care. Like, hospitals, I work in the medical field. There's only I think there's 2 hospitals in Boston that have a union. That's it. And how many hospitals do we have here? My job has sister hospitals within the city. There's only one of them that has a union. The rest do not. They got rid of it. They just can't get rid of this one. Like, that's crazy. That's insane. Like, they forced it out everywhere else.
I also
never become a slave to your job. Your job is not. It's not worth it.
And I also got to say, like, when I worked at the Gap, I was lucky enough to have at least half of the supervisors and management who actually gave a shit. Like, you know, I mean, Rodney was great. Shalimar was great. You were John, like, you know what I mean? Like, you guys all actually really gave a shit about the employees. Like, and granted, they had this thing. I used to tell Greg, I call it the fuck Greg Coalition. Like, cause they would do this. People would do this dumb shit, and people thought Greg was stupid. And this was one of my favorite things in the world. Greg would send somebody on break. He would look at the computer. The computer would say 2:30. I'm sending you on break at 2:30. I'll see you a half hour later. They'd come back and go, well, my clock said this. And Greg would go, yeah, I said you were 2:30 according to this clock. So
30 minutes is 30 minutes, whether your clock says something different.
Exactly.
See, I hate people like that.
You know what my favorite excuse was? We had an issue with attendance. And people would always show up late. And I would ask them, hey, you were supposed to be here 15 minutes ago. What happened? Oh, sorry, I'm late. I was on the bus. The bus was late. I'm like, okay, I know what time the bus gets there.
Because we catch the same fucking bus.
But granted, you know, sometimes the bus is late. But if you're going to be late, at least call and say something. You know, call and say something. And they're always like, but I was in a rush. I'm like, were you driving the bus?
Right?
Like, what do you mean you're on a rush?
Excuses.
You were sitting on the bus. What do you mean? And every time I see you, you're on your phone. So don't tell me you couldn't rushing to get here while you sat on the bus on your phone. You're probably texting your boyfriend or something. You know, like, I don't know. It's crazy. But
I also used to love that. I remember this one time in particular where it was a snowstorm. And I'm leaving my old job on the overnight to make sure I was there by, I think, like 9:30 or whatever time it was. And it was like, if you're from Boston, let me just tell you, you know that how bad fucking, like, the buses are in general. So imagine that during a snowstorm. So this was funny as hell. So everybody was late. And John was like, I'm writing everybody up except for the first person who shows up. And it just happened to be me. And he was just like, he goes, I'll write everybody up. And the thing was, I called. The problem was, I don't know what happened, but the calls weren't going through. And so that's why he was pissed. Because like everyone, because I was like, I was trying to call him, but it wouldn't get through. He was like, really? So he ended up calling and then realized that it really wasn't going through. So again, another example of a manager who, was he a manager at the time?
Yeah.
Like another manager who actually was doing their best job to make sure that, like, you know, that he wasn't bullshitting. Because other people came and saying things like, yo, I'm calling. And he was like, yeah, I got it.
Because that's what sucks. Like, you don't know if somebody's just being a piece of shit or if it's actually real because everybody lies.
Yeah, but thankfully I'm a good worker. So when I said that, it was like my voice holds some weight. Like, you know what I mean? Come and do your job.
Being a manager, when I managed that unit for 5 years, I was friendly with everybody. I'm a social person, especially in my 20s. I was a very social person. Like, I was very, like, whatever. But when we were at work is fucking work. Outside of work, we can drink beers, we can joke around, I'm going to make jokes with you, it's going to be whatever. But when we're at work, if I tell you not to do something and you still do it, okay, then I'm going to write you up.
Yeah, some people have issues.
I had a girl who's cell phones. My biggest thing was, we're a psych hospital. These patients are here because they're trying to actively kill themselves or they're having some kind of psychotic event and we need to be vigilant. My rule was, you can't have your cell phone when you're out on the floor. Leave it in the office so you have it. So if it rings, because the excuse to be, well, I have kids. Okay, so if it rings, there's somebody back there. They'll tell you that it's your child's calling, whatever. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can come check it periodically. I don't care. But you cannot be out on the unit texting on your fucking cell phone in front of a bunch of teenagers who don't have their fucking cell phones on top of it.
Which is almost like antagonizing.
Like, yeah, I'm like, you can't do that. So I had a friend who did it. She was like, oh, I wasn't even thinking. I just took it out of my pocket. And I was like, yeah, I'm still going to have to write you up. I told you. Leave it in the office or leave it in your car. I warned everybody. Yeah, but like, can't you do it? No. Like, I understand that we're friends and you can be mad at you. I literally had to have a whole conversation with her. You can be mad at me if you want. I don't care that we're friends. I'm your boss right now. I'm sorry that you're probably going to feel some kind of way about it, but this is my job. And if I allow you to do it, then I have to allow the next person. I have to allow the next person. I have to allow the next person. And she was like pissed at me. And then a few days later, she's like, no, you're right. And I was like, yeah, I know I was right. Sometimes you have to be the dick. That's just the way it works. Like,
I was like, do your job. When I was supervisor at the Gap, I would tell people, I'm like, yeah, I just need you to do this. And I would have the people closest to me, I would have them do the same shit I'd have anybody else do. Like Valessa, she was like, hey, I'll do whatever I can to help you do that. So I'm like, hey, can you do certain things for me so it doesn't look like I show favoritism? She was like, absolutely. And some people got pissed. It's like, why does she have to do that? I'm like, because nobody else wants to do it, and she will. Well, she's always doing it. Because nobody else wants to do it. Like, do you want to do it? No. I'm like, what is the problem then? What are you mad at me for? Or then my favorite, there's one woman in particular that was pissed off at me every time I asked her to do something. I was like, yo, either do it or go home. Yeah, like, those are your options. Well, I'm going to go talk to her. I'm like, be my guest. One dude at work was like, I was like, yo, either do your job or go home. He's like, I'm leaving. I said, that's cool. I was like, just remember, I'm going to go call our manager on his day off on a fucking holiday. So when I called him and I tell him what happened, don't come back here and lie and talk about what happened. 2 minutes later, he went back and did what he had to do. I'm like, exactly. Don't miss me with that.
It takes more time and effort to not do your job than to just do your fucking job.
Just do your goddamn job.
Like, literally, I had a girl at my work, too. She was like, they asked me to. I'm like, that's in your job title. Well, no, it's your job to do that. Mm-hmm. They're not asking you to do something crazy. Like, do your job. And she was like, but she expected me to get all up in arms. And I was like, no, bro, do your job. Like, come to work and do your job. Like, so we can all have a good day and just relax. Like, that's what people don't understand either, too. If everybody just did their fucking job, it would be easy. But nobody does their fucking job.
Yeah, like, it's funny. There's one dude in particular that I like working with. And he was having, like, a really shit day. He was tired. And I could just see it in his face that he just wasn't doing too well. So a couple things happened. I was like, yo, I got it. You sit your ass down. I'll do this and I'll do that. I ended up getting moved, and he was like, yo, I'll go. I was like, do you really want to deal with it? He goes, not really. I'm like, all right, then sit your ass here. I'll take care of it. Because when the roles were reversed, he did the same thing for me.
That's what me and Sean Kim used to do. Like, if one of us had a bad day, like, that person would sit out, and the other two would take over. But it was different when we worked on the IB team because it was we did our own tasks. We had our own pages. We had our own work. So I would just take her pager. Cheryl would take my list of dressings to do, and then I would take all the pages for all of us. Well, she did all the dressings, and if I got overwhelmed, I'd call her, she'd stop. But we had a system, but the job got done, because everybody has shit fucking days. Everybody has shit days. People get sick, people don't feel good, show up to work when they're not supposed to. Don't take time off. Like, me, Kim and Cheryl, very much so like that. Like, I don't want to make people short. I don't want to do this. I need the money. I want to work overtime, like whatever. So we were always there, but like we had a very good system with each other. So we would be done before everybody else. And then they would be like, oh, well, they're not helping because the three of us did like 4 times the amount of work that you did because you had 2 breakfasts. You took your sweet ass time. No, I'm not doing your job now.
Yeah. Or the people, or Odin forbid, the people who spend like an 8-hour shift and for 7 of those hours they're fucking sleep. It's like come the fuck on. Like I don't get me wrong. There are days where it is super fucking slow and we are not doing anything. I get a lot of my writing done. I get a lot of like little stupid shit done. But when I have to get down, like there are times where it's just like fuck. I really want to come in here and like get this writing done. I really want to come in and read my comic books, but I can't. People, there's shenanigans involved. I gotta train somebody.
It's your job.
Yes, it's my job.
It's a job. You're going there to work.
Yeah, and it's like, fuck it, I'll just have to take care of this shit when I get home. Like, you know what I mean? It's befuddling that people don't understand the concept of like, yo, you are here to work. And I joke with people. I'm like, oh, you're making me work at my job. Who does that? Like, you know what I mean? Jokingly.
But people have that mentality though. Like, it's different though. I get it with some jobs, but like,
Damn it, Wade!
job, you really can't have that mentality. There's too much shit to be done. There's too much.
So like the idea of people just not really understanding it, and then it's even funnier when you have these people going, "I can't believe they asked me to do this." It's part of your job, you dumb fuck.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was saying. I don't know.
It's like, I hate this post. I'm like, for example, there's a particular post on my job that I can't stand, but it's one of the laziest posts in there. And I'm like, yo, can you just? I was like, it'd be great if you guys just never put me here again.
Yeah,
And
because
like,
you don't want to just sit.
Yeah, I was like, you don't want. They're like, you'll do it. Like, no, I was like, I'll take post X, and post X is harder. It's more involved. I was like, I'd rather do that than the easy one. And for them, that makes sense. And plus, they trust me enough to do that, so it works on both ends. But if I'm like, yo, I'm not doing a post because I'm lazy.
Are you afraid to get punched in the face?
Yeah. Or shit like that. But like, it's just the idea of that shit. It's like, come on, man. Like, you gotta know that that shouldn't fly. It's like, and even when they give me that post, I just do it. Yeah. I talk shit. I'm like, I fucking hate this post, but I do it. I do it. I make sure that like where I'm at is where I'm supposed to be, and I do my thing. Like, you know what I mean. So, but like, but again, I think it's just seeing my dad work fucking doubles all the goddamn time. Like when my mother was working.
Said that.
You know what I mean? Like it's just different. Like, well, shit. When I worked with Greg, it was very rare that I called out and I got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember it was funny one time. I think someone asked you like, "Yo, Mark called out," and I'm like, "Yeah, he didn't look good." No, it was a meeting. My back went out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I remember that. Did you go in an ambulance that day?
No.
Dad picked him up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's an idiot. He probably should have been in an ambulance.
Yeah.
Shit, ambulance is expensive.
No, it is not
Fuck
expensive.
that. I would think twice about that.
Yeah. I did
No, I'm sure it's no. Isn't that fucked up too? Like the fact that we're like, nah, I can't get an ambulance.
I'll just
like
call
I do
Uber.
Michael Chase show.
I'll call an Uber.
Yo.
Oh yeah, right. I'll get a taxi. I'm good. I'm taking the train. When my brother died, we were talking about that, right? Like my brother died, I was at work, and Mark left work to come get me. But like you commute in Boston, so neither one of us thought. We just got on the train, like, and I'm like literally crying in the train. I'm like, after the fact, like days later, Mark was like, "Why didn't we just take a cab or something?" I'm like, I don't. It was just the routine of getting on the train and like doing whatever, like being at work, like that we just did it.
Yo, have you watched the thing on HBO Max, That Damn Michael Che?
No, I still haven't gotten to it.
There's a situation in it where this dude gets shot, and he goes, "We gotta get an ambulance." He goes, "Ambulance? I'm not taking an ambulance. I'm trying to buy a house. I don't want that bill on me." I was just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's like, "I'm gonna call a Lyft. It'll be fine, dude. It's like 2 hours away." He's like, "It's all right. I can wait." He's like, no.
But at the end of the day, it's gonna be cheaper.
Expensive. No, it's crazy. I mean, I get it.
I was more than happy to slide that ambulance bill over to my job.
Right.
When I got it, when I
you
broke
hurt
my
your
ankle, it was
ankle.
like $1,200.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Our co-pays are insane. Like our out of pocket, like pay is bad.
The whole surgery was $110K.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
America makes a lot of money off of healthcare.
I was so happy I didn't
We make
have
a
to pay
lot
that
of
bill.
money off of healthcare, and a lot of it. We have a lot of overpriced things. We have like insulin. Like the big argument with insulin is that the man who created it actually let the patent be free so that people with diabetes could be properly medicated. But pharmaceutical companies are allowed to take the pattern. And now we're in a situation where in America, even in Massachusetts, where people can't afford their insulin, and they're dying from diabetes because it's turned into corporate greed. I can get the same insulin in Canada for like $5 that they charge, like $1,000 here. Same exact, but they don't allow pharmaceutical companies. It's why we have a drug epidemic. Because pharmaceutical companies in America were allowed to do like crazy fucked up shit. So representatives were going to hospitals and pushing these doctors to prescribe opiates. There's full documentaries on this, in case anybody thinks I'm full of it. It's called Pill Nation. There's several
There's
actually.
one on HBO Max.
Oh, now?
Yeah.
So
Or Showtime,
these
one of those fucking
doctors
things.
were getting kickbacks, vacations to Hawaii. They were going to Europe. They were doing for conferences, and all it was for them to get like free vacations and get checks and get money. So they were pushing OxyContin. They were pushing Percocet. Because somebody was like, "How do you know that?" I was like, "Okay, I'll give you an example. When I was 17, this is like, so it started all happening when we were like teenagers. When I was 17, I had mono, and I went to the doctors because with mono you get really bad gas pain, like epigastric, like stomach pain, like it's bad. So I was like, the stuff from over the counter isn't working. I just need something to help, like stop that from happening. It's painful. Like I can't do this. And she was like, I'm gonna give you some Percocet. And I like stopped. I was 17. She was ready to hand me a script for like 30 Percocet. And I looked at her and I said, you see that big red sticker on my chart? I'm allergic to Percocet, firsthand. Secondly, I'm asking you for something stronger for gas pain. I want like a pill to stop gas pain. I don't understand why you're giving me Percocet. And she just like looked at me like dumbfounded that I didn't take her prescription. That's the other thing. There's a very strict now laws in most states that they can only prescribe so many pain meds per. So now, like, you go home with, like, 4 days worth, and if you need more, you have to be reevaluated. You have to be re-seen. Also now, sales reps for pharmaceutical companies can no longer offer vacations, lunches. Like, they were dinners, lunches. They were paying for, like, crazy shit for their, like, and if you entice people with that, they're going to take it. If I can go to Hawaii for free for 2 weeks, like...
But even then, like...
Or I can do whatever. Oh, no, it's wrong. I'm not saying it's okay. Like, it's just fucked up. That's, like, how our whole medical system, the way it is set up, is fucking horrendous. And when people think about countries that allow universal care, they think about it in a very different way because we have been taught if you don't work hard and you don't do this, you don't deserve anything, right? And not that I don't believe that. There are some cases, like, where I'm like, no. Like, you can't just sit at home and collect a fucking check and do nothing. Like, unless you really need, like, you're old, you're severely disabled, you're whatever. But universal health care does not necessarily mean that people get to just do whatever they want, but it also, like, frees up treatments that we have people in America who die from diseases because they cannot afford to pay the medical that comes with it for their children, for their spouses. So like you have like an 8-year-old kid die from cancer because their parents can't afford. That's gross. That should not be allowed to happen. They're working, they're trying, they're struggling, but when you have $170,000 bill, you can't pay that. Your kid's gonna die before you can even come close to paying that. So like, and then people are like, oh, there'll be long lines, there'll be whatever. I'm like, so bullshit. Canada. I had a friend whose sister was in Canada visiting another friend. She found a lump. She panicked. She was there for like a couple of months, like on a visa. She was all ready to fly home, and her friend was like, no, let's go to the doctor. She was able to go to her doctor, no insurance, walk in. They saw her, did all the lab tests, felt it, said, okay, immediately, okay, we're going to send you to this other clinic. And she was like, so what, like next week? And they were like, no, right now. You're going to go to this clinic, they're going to do an MRI, we're going to check to see if what's there. And then if they find something, they're going to do a biopsy. In America, it doesn't work that way. You wait weeks, months, like whatever. They don't look at it that way. It's not the same. We're so oversaturated with things that... And the monetary value of all of it. And then people are like, well, how do their doctors still get paid? They still make money. They're still getting money because universal health care pays for all of it. They just can't now get kickbacks. They just can't now do whatever. And it runs very smoothly. So cancer diagnosis to treatment is in a week there. But here it's like 7 months from now because we have to wait to have all these tests done, to have... Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you really think about it and you look at it overall instead of looking at it as most people do, where they're not working for that shit. That's not right. It's coming out of my pocket. It benefits literally everyone. Because you're paying for insurance no matter what. It lowers your costs. But nobody can grasp that concept, though, because everybody's always about self and how they can do what's best for themselves and how they can... do whatever.
One of the things I've noticed, and we had this
Like, I'm not a
conversation
super
when we went to
liberal either. That's what's crazy. Like, I fucking hate politics. I don't believe in any of it.
Me too.
Like, I think it's all bullshit. None of them care about us. But I just, it's more of a humanitarian thing for me. I've just seen a lot of things happen that should have never happened because we have so many restrictions and everything has a monetary value here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I did not have the insurance that I have, my medications for my autoimmune, I would die because I wouldn't be able to afford them. I spend thousands of dollars a year paying for meds. Like, one of my meds is like $500, like a pop, after insurance, like for a 3-month course. Sorry. Something say that.
No, I'm not gonna cut you out. It was just funny. I don't even remember what the fuck I was talking about. But I had something to say that I can't remember. Oh, so the point I was going to make was just something, the conversation we had during, we were at the Yard House, is the idea of two things. One, everything's for money and power. And
Yes.
two, everyone thinks that they have, what they have is going on is more important than the next
Everybody
person.
else's.
Period.
And that's why I don't think. Every time I think about it, I know it sounds a little silly. If we ever were to experience a zombie apocalypse,
Yeah,
we're
well,
doomed.
Yeah, no, we'd be
We're
fucked.
doomed.
We can't work together.
Oh,
If
those
you see
motherfuckers
how-
who are like, oh, we got this.
No,
Yeah.
we would die.
The
'Cause
way
we're all
people
selfish.
handled the pandemic,
Mhm.
from the people to the government,
Yep. It was horrible.
we're doomed.
It was a public health safety issue, and it
If
got turned into everything but that.
It turned into, like you
It was
said.
politics. It
Yeah.
was race wars. It was whatever.
Mhm.
Like, whatever anybody could blame it on so that they can continue to... It's all about the bottom line, though, right? Like,
Mhm.
these are people that had to stop their companies. They had to... And they didn't want to. They want to make that extra money. And, I get it. But, like, for a situation like that can literally wipe out millions of people... You have to stop.
It literally did wipe out
It's the
millions of people.
appropriate thing to do.
And then you had like fucking.
If you're a
fuckboy-
human.
Yeah, you have fuckboy 45 in office calling it, all like blaming it on
Well,
like
that was part of the
Asia.
problem. Our government was
Like, you know
trash.
what
China.
Ugh.
Fuck that guy, man. Hold on.
Conspiracy. The bottle says COVID. I was like, COVID's common flu. Common flu.
Yeah, or just the
I mean, the common cold.
to what you just said, it's like if you don't, Valkyrie just said something. I hit record too soon. You just said if you don't know about it, maybe you shouldn't talk about it. That should be a law.
Or ask, or
for stuff.
educate.
Yeah. Like
I've had a lot of friends come to me and ask, hey, you seem to know a lot about this. Can we have a conversation about it? Yep, let's talk about it. What do you want to talk about? I understand apprehension. I understand, like, whatever, but dialogue, like, you have to be able to speak to people. It's the reason why we're in such a shit situation because everybody's refusing to actually have, like, civil conversations with one another, or, like, it's all this race for who can be right and who's the rightest. Like, people, I don't know, people are ridiculous. I'm different than most people, though. I don't look at things in monetary value, and, like, I don't need to drive a fucking Cadillac Escalade. I don't need, like, I'm not that type of person. I'm very chill. Money is money to me. I will literally give you the clothes off my back if I trust you and know you. Like, I don't look at money that way. Like, I just never have. It's money. We can't be buried with it. We can't die with it.
but what's the point?
If I can do something to help somebody, I'm gonna help them, because what am I gonna do? It's just sitting there.
I don't know. I just wish people would actually do a better job of.
Being humans.
Yeah, yeah. Just we had this call. We was just on Amanda's podcast. Shout out to Pandagasms, and we were just discussing that about how you never know what the next person is going through. Like, you don't know if they're dealing with some type of like internal injury or virus or illness that we can't see, or like who knows, like what if they're like mentally ill, like and they just had, or like their parent just died, or some other loved one's hurt and they're like focused on something else. So the idea that people never really take that into consideration is really problematic, because they want the same respect if the roles reversed. But people don't necessarily think like that. Like, and I'm guilty of that too. Like when I get mad at somebody, but I'm learning to check my particular way of thinking, because I would want the same respect given to me that they want. You know what I mean? So it's a whole thing. And again, which is funny, we still didn't get to the topics, but I'm gonna end it here because I kind of figured this was a good episode. This is a real informative, wasn't as goofy as we normally do, but I like these episodes. So I want to thank Just Greg for coming in here. I want to thank my lovely wife Valkyrie for doing this as well. Thank you for listening. If you want, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at OldManWadeCom. You can find me, Super Bowl Kavi, and Diddy on the Culture Comic Book News podcast on Spotify, iHeart, and iTunes. I think that's all I got. Oh, you can find us on the Old Man Wade Show Facebook page. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Damn it, Wade!